So, you know the old rule of thumb in AV integration, right?
Oh, yeah.
One room, one brain.
Yeah.
You're setting up 5 conference rooms, you're buying 5 hardware controllers to run the lights, the screens,
Yeah.
all of it.
Right, a strict 1-to-1 ratio. And
hmm
that historically has meant, rack space, heat, power.
And a big line item on the budget for every single room.
For every door you open, yeah.
Exactly. But today, we're doing a deep dive on a device that sort of flips that on its head. It's the Kramer KC-VirtualBrain5.
A fascinating shift.
And the mission here is really to figure out how one piece of hardware uses this idea of virtualization to run 5 separate spaces at the same time.
It's moving from, I guess, physical separation to logical separation.
So let's start right there. Virtualization.
Mm-hmm.
In the IT world, that means one server running, say, 5 different operating systems. Is that basically what's happening here?
That is the perfect analogy. The KC Virtual Brain 5 is a hardware platform, and it comes pre-installed with 5 instances of Kramer's BRAINware software.
Ah, okay. So instead of 5 physical black boxes, you have one device acting as the central server for all 5 rooms.
You got it.
That makes sense. But then that raises a practical question for me. Connectivity. If the brain isn't physically in the room, how is it talking to the projector screen or the door locks?
That's the critical difference. Traditional controllers, they rely on physical proximity.
Right, serial cables, IR emitters.
Exactly. This system relies on Ethernet. It leverages the Kramer Control Cloud platform to manage everything over the network.
Okay, so that must clean up the cabling significantly.
Oh, absolutely.
And just for clarity, because we see this term in the spec scalers, we're talking about the hardware that makes sure my 4K laptop signal doesn't look awful on a 1080p display.
That's it. It handles all of that.
Yeah.
Signal processing, audio amps, lighting, sensors. But it's sending all those commands over the network.
Okay, so the architecture makes sense. But I want to push back a little on the configuration side. Usually when you get into these bigger multi-room systems, the complexity just skyrockets. You need a certified programmer to write code just to get the blinds to close.
And that's the exact barrier that Kramer is trying to remove here.
House.
They've built this whole thing around what they call the Kramer Control Drag and Drop Builder.
I have to admit, I'm always a bit skeptical of no-code promises.
I get that.
Because every space has unique needs. Does drag and drop just mean you're stuck with some generic cookie-cutter template?
That's a valid concern, but the documentation suggests it's more flexible. While it is no code, so you're not writing lines of script, the UI is fully customizable. So you can still personalize the interface, change button functions, adjust layouts, all without calling in a specialist.
So it's simple configuration, not limited configuration.
That's a really good way to put it. It's about accessibility without losing the power.
Okay, I like that. Now, let's talk about the hardware itself. If this thing is replacing 5 controllers, I'm picturing a rack-mounted unit, something substantial.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But this is where it gets surprising.
Go on.
It's tiny.
How tiny are we talking?
We're talking roughly 2.8 inches by 2.8 inches. It literally fits in the palm of your hand.
Wait, less than 3 inches? That is smaller than a Mac Mini.
Much smaller.
So what are they running under the hood to handle 5 separate rooms on something that small?
It's a 4th-gen Intel dual-core processor, 1.4 gigahertz. It's got 4 gigs of RAM and a 32 gig solid-state drive.
So it's basically a dedicated, industrial-grade NUC, a next unit of computing.
Precisely. It's not trying to be a desktop. It's optimized for one job.
And it must have gigabit LAN for all that network control we talked about.
It does. And USB 3.0, HDMI. It's small, but it's dense.
Okay, so let's get to the bottom line. The price. The listed price is around $15,540.
Which, if you look at it just as a single unit price, it sounds pretty standard.
Yeah, but you have to do the math.
You have to do the math.
That's the whole point of virtualization, right? You aren't paying $1,500 for one controller. You're paying, what, roughly $300 per room?
Exactly. And for an enterprise setup, that scalability is the real value proposition. You're controlling 5 spaces for the price of what one premium controller might have cost before.
It really just illustrates that trend of software eating hardware, doesn't it?
It does.
The value is shifting away from the physical box and into the logic, into the software it runs.
It feels like the inevitable direction for the whole industry.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought to mull over. If a device that's barely larger than a drink coaster can now run the logic for 5 complex rooms, are we looking at the last generation of on-premise controllers?
It's a good question.
I mean, how long until the brain of the building just lives entirely in the cloud?
It might be closer than we think.
Something to consider next time you book a meeting room.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.